Pistons have a top 5 defense in the NBA, yet in the last few minutes of Celtics Pistons on Wednesday night, the Celtics tore them apart. Obviously, guys like Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart are elite defenders, but the Celtics made sure that none of them were involved in any of the actions down the stretch. And if they were, they picked their spots very carefully. These are the last 6 field goals the Celtics made on Wednesday night against the Pistons. We'll start here, and you'll slowly start to see a trend. The play starts with Tobias Harris guarding Jalen Brown, which is the matchup that the Pistons wanted. However, Boston runs the chest action that they've been running a lot this season, and since Jordan Walsh is going to be the one setting the flare screen for him, that puts Caris LeVert and Duncan Robinson in this action. They are without a doubt the 2 weak links of the Pistons defense, at least based on who's on the floor right now. So after setting that screen for D. White and getting the switch, Jalen Brown immediately runs into the Jordan Walsh screen and Duncan Robinson switches onto it. That is until Caris LeVert fights through the screen, but at that point, he's still scrambling to get back, and Jalen Brown gets an easy drive past him. Boston did what they had to do to get the 2 weakest Pistons defender in the action, and Jalen Brown just went to work.
They like to flare Brown off of that screen. There it is. Rips through and drives. Clear pass to the bucket and the slam.
Now, watch that happen time and time again. Next one, Derek White and Baylor Shireman pass back and forth. Shireman sets the screen for Derek White, and look at that. Duncan Robinson back in the play because of it. Derek White fakes the drive, immediately pulls up, and nails a 3 in Duncan Robinson's face as he's packing up to guard that drive.
Back to Derek White, 10 on the shot clock. Guarded by Robinson. The 3.
Next up, and surprise, surprise, Duncan Robinson is on Derek White once again. Jalen Brown immediately comes up to set the screen, slips it, and gets Duncan Robinson on the switch. Derek White finds him, and again, we find ourselves with Jalen Brown attacking Duncan Robinson one-on-one in space. Robinson extends a little bit too far beyond the three-point line, so all Jalen Brown has to do is turn and get downhill. Jalen Duren probably should have helped over a little bit more here, but Jordan Walsh does a great job of spacing the corner, and Baylor Shireman's cut baseline puts Cade Cunningham as the last line of defense for Detroit. Jalen Brown finishes with a tough bucket at the rim here, but even if Cade Cunningham had played a little bit better defense, Shireman would have been wide open to the corner for a shot.
Cunningham, the #1 fourth quarter scorer in the league. Brown against Robinson. Wheels.
On this one, they don't even need to get Duncan Robinson or Caris LeVert involved in the action. Since the Pistons are on their back heels in transition, all it takes is a simple crossover for Jalen Brown to get a step on Tobias Harris. This sucks in Cade Cunningham from the wing, and Derek White gets an open 3. And let's just say TD Gardner appreciated it.
No multiple possessions.
White, another 3, got it!
This is where things get a little different. Remember when I said they picked their spots very wisely when they brought the better defenders into the play? Well, on this one, Jordan Walsh sets the screen for Jalen Brown, and that puts Jalen Duren on it. Duncan Robinson is off the floor at this point. By setting the screen with Walsh and bringing Jalen Duren into the play at the top of the key, they achieve a very important goal. There is no last line of defense for the Pistons anymore. Jalen Duren is supposed to be that rim protector on the back line, smoothing things over if things go wrong on the perimeter. But since he's the guy on the perimeter, the Pistons don't have that. The Celtics actually do try to get Caris LeVert on Jalen Brown, but he blows up that screen that Derek White was going to set. So instead, Jalen Brown makes a crazy play, does a phenomenal job getting past Jalen Duren, who plays some great defense. And like I mentioned before, the Pistons don't have that last line of defense. Usually the spot Tobias Harris is in is occupied by Jalen Duren because he was guarding Jordan Walsh. But since they switched that, all Jalen Brown had to do was get a little bit of space past Jalen Duren. Once he did that, he got the N1. There was no rim protector in the paint for Detroit because the rim protector was the guy guarding on the perimeter.
Duren switches out onto Brown. He's going to test his mobility here defensively. Tries to stay in front. Brown and 1.
Then here, last Celtics field goal of the game, it actually sets up as a chest action for Baylor Shireman to go off the flare screen from Jalen Brown. But instead of kicking the pass to Baylor, Derek White sees an opening to attack. When Baylor Shireman looked like he was going to set a screen for Derek White to go right, Cade Cunningham came up to the wing to help on it. But as soon as Baylor went to take that flare screen from Brown, Cade Cunningham had to turn his head and reassess where he was going. He points for Tobias Harris to go get Baylor so they can switch, but at that point, it's too late. Derek White is already going to work on Caris LeVert. And since Caris LeVert cannot keep up with Derek White on the offensive end, all it took was one behind the back dribble move, and he created a wide open 3. And once again, TD Garden went wild.
White, who's 5 of 10 from deep with the ball. Another 3. He's hotter than fish grease.
The Celtics knew they were at a disadvantage running these small ball lineups, so they had to make every advantage count. That meant using their best offensive weapons to attack the weakest links in the Pistons' defensive scheme. That was Duncan Robinson, Caris LeVert, and Jalen Duren on the perimeter, so the Pistons had no backline help. And they executed this game plan to perfection on Wednesday night.